Hi everyone, this video is going to be for Sephora's holiday palette, which is the huge Chroma Color Palette. Usually I don't do intros in person, but this palette is so big that it's hard for me actually to show it to you in detail on camera and fit it in the screen where I usually do my live swatches for you. So I'm introducing you to it in person. This is what the outside of this palette looks like. It retails for $65 and it is currently available at Sephora. As always, you can go to allurabeauty.com if you want to see photos of the swatches that I will do for you in this video, and if you just want to see a more in-depth written review after I really test this palette for a few days and use the colors and see how they perform. So the palette opens up like this. You can see that on one side it has a full-sized mirror for you, and then in the middle of the palette you have this huge selection of colorful eyeshadow shades. There are a total of 54 eyeshadow colors here. So you start with more of the rainbow colors, and then we come into the more smoky and neutral colors at the bottom here. And then on the other side, we have a set of 12 eyeshadow pencils, again in various both neutral and colorful shades. And then at the very bottom, we have this duo-ended brush here. So real quick, here's a close-up of the colors. I will swatch these, as always, over primer with an eyeshadow brush, and I will go by row from left to right. And I think I might be very brief or not even do color descriptions just because there are so many eyeshadow shades in this palette here. And they are standard wooden pencils, so you do have to sharpen them as you use them up. And with this duo-ended eyeshadow brush, the sides are pretty similar. One side is just slightly bigger and a little more full with bristles, but in terms of the shape, they're both just slightly rounded but thin or flatter type eyeshadow brushes. All right, so with 54 shadows, I'm going to try to be as thorough as possible while moving it along. So first up, from the very first row, we have this shimmering, very pale pink that looks honestly more peach on the skin. Next up is a bright medium pink with shimmer. Here is a frosty fuchsia. I'm gonna add a little more because that's pretty flaky. Next up we have this bright grape purple with larger silver glitter. Gonna add a little more to that too. Then we have this beautiful shimmering deep navy blue at the base with lighter blue shimmer. And last, we have this deep teal shade, matte finish. Okay, so here's your first set of shades from the first row. I think the first, second to last, and last shades have the best and smoothest formula to them. These middle shades are a little more patchy. The fallout on the glitter is definitely there. And the formula itself is a little on the crumbly side. From the second row, we have this very pale pink with a matte finish. Next up is a medium hot pink, also with a matte finish. Then we have this light, bright purple shade, also with I think a matte finish. I think if you look up real close, there's a very slight sheen. Oh yeah, if you look up close, it actually has the very subtle duochrome. You can't really see it. Next up, we have this shimmering deep navy blue. We have this really glittery medium teal shade. And we end with this deep shimmering or frosty olive green. Okay, here's row 2 of the colors. Definitely the best formula comes from the last shade here. First 3 shades, you get kind of a sheer wash of color, good pigmentation and color on this one, but still on the non-opaque side. Again, you get flaky kind of fallout with the shimmering shades there. From the third row, we have a light to medium frosty pink. Then we have this really opaque, bright and light purple. Third is this shimmering medium pool blue. Fourth, we have this beautiful duo chromed aqua color. Next up is a frosty vintage gold, so it has kind of a yellow-green tint to it. And last up we have a matte, very opaque black. Alright, so here's your third row of colors. Wow, very different. Almost all of these shades have a fantastic formula to them, especially these two shades, very creamy. Actually, this first one too. This one, and this one, all very creamy, smooth, intensely pigmented colors. Outstanding matte black shade also. This one could do with a little more evenness in the finish, but the brightness of the color, or I should say the pigmentation, is really good. This one is my least favorite, although the color is still very good. It just kind of, the flakes or the shimmer particles kind of leave, what should I call it, like a sandy finish on the skin almost. You can probably see that. But overall, a fantastic row of colors. In the fourth row, we start with this beautiful, frosty, shimmering lilac. Next up is another beautiful, shimmering, intense pool blue. Frosty finish. Third is this very bright teal turquoise, almost with a duochrome finish, very similar to the one from the row above, but not quite a duochrome. Fourth, we have this really deep hunter green with a grayish tint to it, and then lighter green shimmer particles. Next is this intense black with a ton of silver shimmer. And last up we have a deep, slightly taupey matte brown. Okay, so here is row 4, another solid row. Definitely the first three have a wonderful, creamy, pigmented, smooth formula. These shades are also pretty impressive. This could be a little more creamy and smooth, but definitely decent, especially if you're going to put it through the crease. What a shimmering, God, this is so packed with shimmer. It's pretty incredible. And then also a decent formula shade, but again, could be a little more smooth on the skin. First up in the fifth row is this frosty baby blue. Next up we have a light aqua, also with a frosty finish. Third is this bright green with kind of flaky silver shimmer. Definitely more of a stiffer, dry shade. I'm adding a little more powder. Fourth, we have this browned gray. Again, has a much more flaky quality to it with a kind of frosty metallic silvered finish. Next up, we have this shimmering milk chocolate brown with silver shimmer. Next up is a matte lighter brown. Okay, here we have the fifth row colors. The formulas were a little more stiff, dragged a little more on the skin. Still beautiful colors that we're starting out with here. I wish this were much easier to work with. We have a nice, very matte, smooth formula brown at the end. These two were pretty decent also, but overall you could see probably that there was a good amount of fallout, and the texture, or the formula I should say, is a little crumbly. In the sixth row, we're starting with this pale blue aqua with large flaky silver shimmer. Next up is this bright green with a frost finish. Third, we have this taupey gray, also with a frost finish. Fourth is a matte taupe. Next is this medium frosty brown. And last we have this yellow toned soft brown with a very slight sheen to the finish. Alright, there is row 6, much better overall formula and smoothness, especially with these two frosty shades and this brown, wonderful pigmented and creamy on the skin. Decent and good matte shades. I think this first one probably has the least smooth formula. Row 7, we start with this pale Granny Smith apple green with a frosty finish. Next is a shimmering silver. Next is this soft brown with large silver glitter. This is a pretty weak shade at the base. It's kind of stiff. I'm gonna layer it with a second layer of color, much better in finish now. Next is this really rich and warm toned brown sort of a mahogany undertone. Here we have another warm toned, almost goldeny brown. This one's more yellow undertoned, whereas the previous one is more red undertoned. And we end with this very shimmering pinky peachy champagne with a frosty metallic finish. Okay, so as has been consistent with the shades so far, we again have these frosty metallic shades that are really creamy and smooth and opaque on the skin. This one is also another frosty shade that's very nice, although not quite as dense as these neutral shades. This shade required definitely layering. It was much more stiff, but it looks pretty nice once you put 2 layers on there. And the silver color is pretty much just a shimmering shade. It doesn't have a lot of underlying color to it. First up in the 8th row is, wow, this frosty shade, but it is a duochrome. It's kind of a frosty white at the base, but it flashes violet. And it definitely looks white in the pan, but it has this distinct flash of purple on the skin. This is a second layer. Next up is this shimmering frosty taupey brown. Third, we have this peachy, kind of a burnt peach shade with a frosty finish. Next up we have this yellow toned warm gold. Next we have this matte nudie peach. And last we have this very pale matte nude. Okay, here is row 8's shades. Got pretty decent mattes actually, very, again, creamy, smooth, opaque, metallic or frosty shades. Although this one I do like it built up a little more. You get kind of a different effect depending on how much you put on. This frosty metallic shade wasn't as buttery as the first 3, but also pretty decent. And in the 9th and final row, we start with this pale frosty champagne. Next is a more nude shimmering champagne. Next is a matte, very pale yellow. Fourth is a frosty nude, a matte off-white, and a matte white. Okay, so here's the 9th row. Looks like pretty much highlighting, accenting shades. We have decent pigmentation on the frosty shades with also smooth formula. The matte shades are on the more sheer side, but again, decent quality to those. Okay, so here we have the 12 eyeshadow pencil colors. So you can see them up close. Here is Beige Shimmer, Taupe Shimmer, Matte Brown, Turquoise Shimmer, Dark Green Shimmer, Gold Shimmer, Pink Shimmer, Purple Shimmer, Matte Eggplant, Silver Shimmer, Gunmetal Shimmer, and Matte Black. So we'll start with Beige Shimmer. Next up is Taupe Shimmer, Matte Brown, Turquoise Shimmer, Dark Green Shimmer, and Gold Shimmer. Okay, so they're the first 16 shades. These don't have the creamiest formula, but they also aren't super stiff or dry. They're kind of in between. The first and the last shades in this set of swatches, they're more of like a glitter as opposed to just a shimmer, so I find that I wanted to layer these more. The matte brown was actually the most creamy and smooth and easy to apply onto the skin, and then the other ones fall somewhere in between. Here is Pink Shimmer, Purple Shimmer, Matte Eggplant, Silver Shimmer, Gunmetal Shimmer, and Matte Black. Okay, here's the second set of eyeliners. The best one by far is this matte black shade, smooth, creamy on the skin. The first two shades, not really impressed with at all. The pigmentation could be much better on those and have a softer, creamier formula. Matte Eggplant was okay too, and then these again are somewhere in the middle. All right, there you have swatches and my thoughts on Sephora's Chroma Color Palette Kit for the holiday season. I hope that this video was helpful to you in terms of deciding whether you want to purchase this for yourself or as a gift for the holiday season, and I hope that you found it interesting. Please give it a thumbs up if you did like it. I hope that you subscribe to the channel so that you can be eligible for more upcoming giveaways. If you haven't already entered the giveaway for the other Sephora kit that I have that I'm giving to a lucky viewer, then please go see this video and you can enter to win that. I think there's only a day or so left in that giveaway before I choose a winner. Thanks for taking the time to watch. I'll see you in the next video. Let's get looking at these beautiful holiday items. All right, so let's start out with the new limited edition Shimmer Brick shade. This is in the color Copper Diamond, and this retails for $45. Here are the 5 different shades that are in this Shimmer Brick compact. You